live in this on my Instagram. Then I'll get it live in a couple of Facebook groups. If you want to share it to your Facebook, you can.
Bro, I don't even know how to do that. I've never done the StreamYard thing. I've never gone live.
Have you not? You've never gone live?
Never gone live before.
That's wild.
Yeah.
All right, let me share this into a couple of my groups. There's one. So Investor Lift has been good for us. I think Investor Lift has been a game changer for us as far as Dispo.
Yeah.
And these novations are going to be huge for us too, though.
For sure. Yeah.
Because Investor Lift is great in the major metros.
Say it again.
Investor Lift has been good for us in the major metros.
Yeah, I agree with that. But novations have been good, in the smaller markets because, you got the MLS helping you out on that Dispo. So we do a lot of those in small markets.
Like how small? I'm trying to avoid anything less than 20,000.
Yeah, I mean, so we do nationwide marketing for PPC and Facebook, and we obviously exclude. I think we exclude any cities less than 100,000 in population, but we still get all those small town leads all the time. Still, even in states that we actively don't, because we exclude probably I don't know 12 to 15 states as well, and we still get leads in those states too. So there's no really way around that. But if it's a deal, it's a deal. But it is harder in those small markets, though, because a lot of times you can't even. They don't even have a comp, so you're using the whole town as a comp. But even that, when there's 250 houses, and nobody's sold in the last 3 or 4 years, what do you do with that? So we pass on those typically. But if we can find a comp in that area, I don't care how small a town is, to prove that it's worth X amount, then we're going to do the deal as long as the numbers make sense.
Because that's what scares me. It's like I look at it and I'm like, bro, there hasn't been anything that's sold in the fucking year. Like, I don't want to touch this.
I know. And a lot of times we'll just look at the cash comps too, because every once in a while there's even the older ones if it's a year old, but we see that some local buyers, there's usually not many, if any, are buying it at X. Then we try to get below that, and maybe we have a shot. But yeah, they're small. Those are harder, those small towns for sure. But yeah, if we can't find a legitimate comp, typically we will pass. Unless we can get it for almost free, you know what I mean? Like literally like a few $100 or something.
Yeah. Because let me go to where's my board? So I was going over this today. So we have 3 in Ohio, 2 in Ohio right now that need to go live. 1 in Muncie, Indiana that we need to take live. 2 in Muncie, Indiana we need to take live. 1 in Philly. We have so many in Illinois. It's been crazy. We have actually 1 just outside of Austin, but we've canceled 12 of these. And I think if we would have done novations, we would have been able to do something with them, except like these ones in like East St. Louis. Those ones are really hard.
They are. Depends on which area. But yeah, they are kind of harder. But the good thing is, that's 10 miles from St. Louis. So, there's buyers that might take some of those crappy houses, for a buy and hold type of situation. Like we have one right now, actually, in East St. Louis. Where is it? Granite, Illinois, which is basically East St. Louis.
Granite City.
Yep, Granite City, yep. And we had another one in some little other, it was like the ghetto over there, and that one did not go well at all. But, it was a mobile home with the exterior wall missing, a couple of them. So it was, and we didn't know that originally. So that deal went south fast. But
have you been able to move anything in East St. Louis that needs work? That's like a gut.
That's that one we just canceled because we knew it was a gut, but that was beyond a gut. Honestly, it was a teardown because there was exterior walls missing on this place. So yeah, it was. Like even buy and hold people in that area, I don't remember the little town. If you said
they don't want guts, bro. They just want something that's like livable, and they won't put any money into it.
Yeah, and it was too much because you got people buying houses over there for 3, 4, 5 grand and can put 5 or 6 into it just to make it livable. But this was beyond that. So yeah, it probably needed 20 just to make it livable. Honestly.
That's where, because we got one of them was a duplex that I was like, yeah, it's a duplex for fucking 10 grand. Someone will want it, but it's a gut. Like it's already stripped down and halfway rehabbed. Nobody wanted it. Another one that's a gut in Cahokia. Nobody wanted it. Have you moved anything in Flint?
Michigan?
Yes.
I don't think we have.
Bro.
That's one of the states I exclude, honestly. I mean, we still get leads there and deals there every once in a while, but yeah,
Why do you exclude Michigan? For me, it's just nobody wants the fucking houses.
that's it. Yeah. You can't sell them. You can get a house for free almost and you can't sell it.
It's crazy. Because, bro, so the first 2 that we locked up were 2 houses in Detroit. ARV on one of them was like 180. We had it for 30 and we couldn't sell it.
Wow.
Nobody wanted it.
Yeah.
Blasted out on Investor Lift a bunch and nobody wanted it. And he had 2 houses that we couldn't sell. Another one in Burton, Michigan, couldn't get it done. The one we canceled in Philly, I just locked that up too high.
Yeah.
But yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 deals in Michigan that we canceled because we couldn't get them done and we couldn't get them sold. And I thought I got them at good prices.
I know that's a thing too. It's like the market's just different too. Buyers are pickier for sure. Because if the consumer rates are higher, obviously the investor rates are much higher too. So that it just sucks all the way around, like in a lot of those. So it's already like a bad market, and then you put those things on top of it. It's like, man, why even lock them up there at this point, right?
What do you think your cancellation rate is? Because right now we are at a 30% cancellation rate. When it's all said and done, I guarantee you it'll be at 50.
Yeah, probably so. I mean, traditionally we've probably been 40% or so nationwide. I mean, our goal is to be 35%. I think that's a realistic goal for nationwide deals. But I think most people are 50% or less that do nationwide, I think. And we were probably hovering in that ballpark last year, probably. But I think right now we're probably closer to 35% fallout nationwide.
When you switched to novations, did it go up just because do you have novations that you have to cancel or not really?
Every once in a while. The only ones we've had cancel has been really strange situations, like suddenly the seller ghosts us or something, and we definitely cannot get like we've tried. We'll even buy local numbers, like do whatever we can. Somebody's in their ear, obviously, and they probably sold to someone else. So we put memos on those or whatever. But so we've had situations we've even had a situation where a buyer just went ghost on us, which is super weird. Like the last year, we've had the weirdest deals ever. Like I've never really had a deal fall apart, when both sides have already signed and title is clear. But we probably had 4 of those last quarter of last year.
What?
I never had one in 6 years. Isn't that weird?
Both sides are already signed.
Both sides are signed. Title is clear. You're ready to close. And then one side or the other you just couldn't get a hold of them or whatever this case was. It was super strange. So one of those we ended up saving. That was like in Chicago. But we took like a $10K haircut because we were down to the wire at that point. And the buyer, just flat would not respond to anybody. Title company, nobody. We buy local phone number, wouldn't answer their phone. I don't know if they died or what. Who knows? But
we have a seller right now whose phone just quit working for everyone, and knowing people, and we're essentially ready to close. And because I've called from every single random number,
wow,
and his phone's off. So I know he didn't block anybody, but it's bro, what the hell are you doing?
Maybe he lost it. We actually had that happen to us just yesterday. Someone lost their phone, and so we were emailing them, and they replied to our email and told us they lost their phone. I think they got it back though because they were calling it wherever they left it. But who knows? I mean, it's a strange market, right?
Well, we deal with really strange people.
We do.
I deal with some. I need to make a video about this. The other day, I was on the phone with a woman, and she was like, "I got this house, blah blah blah. It's in great shape. It hasn't been remodeled in 40 years, but it's in great shape. I've seen it, blah, blah, blah. 30 seconds later, she tells me that she's legally blind. And so I go, ma'am, you're telling me that I'm supposed to trust you, but you're legally blind. And she was like, I just can't drive. That's all.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, all right, so no, we're not. We'd have to be around like 70 grand. This isn't going to work. And she cusses me out, whatever. And then I put her on a drip campaign. And then for 3 days straight, she replied and just starts like texting and blowing us up. You lowballing me, you piece of shit, this and that. And then out of nowhere, she's like, you asshat. And so I sent her a message back. No, you're an asshat. And then it goes back and forth. And then I call her from a different phone number. And I'm like, hey, I heard you called someone in our company an asshat. She's like, oh, no, that person needs to be fired, blah, blah, blah. He called me every name under the book but a child of God. He's terrible. I was like, ma'am, I know for a fact that you're lying, and he didn't call you anything. I didn't tell her because I was like, that him person is me.
Right.
Right. And she was like, oh, no, you're going to talk to my attorney. I'm suing you, blah, blah, blah. And this is a seller who had like 3 houses they wanted to sell. And I was like, man, we're not going to be a good fit to like buy these houses. I'm suing you. I'm done. So yeah, that's the type of people we deal with in middle America for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But bro, go over your Novation pitch again real quick.
Yeah. So Novation, obviously we underwrite the deal obviously for cash first, right? And quickly you find out because we're getting a number out of them. Because first of all, let me back up. Everything we do is inbound leads. So It makes a difference on what kind of lead you have. So it's all inbound. So they're calling us, wanting a solution, right? So we get a price out of them. 9 times out of 10, they'll tell you if they're calling you, usually, if you ask.
Do you work with someone if they don't give you a price?
I just don't ever give them a price. Yeah, I'll still work with them. Like, hey, I mean, what do you want? Well, I don't know. I want it for free. Will you give it away? I didn't think you would. So where can we start? You know what I mean? Anyways, so we quickly find out if it works for cash or not, like if we're in the ballpark, but usually like, is that price just because that's what they want, or is that what they really need? Because oftentimes they need that price because of a mortgage or whatever. Right. So if the cash price doesn't work, we say, well, Mr. Seller, we really need to be at 50 grand on this deal to make it work. Cash, we pay for everything. You're in and out quick on your timeline, et cetera, right? And I know you can't take that because you owe 80, right? Now, we do have another solution that could benefit you even more to where we could potentially give you that 80 or at least close to it. And all we ask is you give us a little bit of time and allow us to show it a time or two. But to be clear, we will not be the buyer because, like I said, for us, we need to be at 50 grand cash. But we do have buyers. We have a huge network nationwide, over 6 million buyers. And we have the ability to put this on the MLS for you as well. So we will work on your behalf to get this sold. And I'm confident we can get you the 80 that you need so you can pay off your mortgage and move on to start over wherever you're going. So, basically the way it works is it's still an as-is purchase, but we're pitching this to our other friends, our investor friends, or potentially MLS buyers that might want to move into it. So the 80K, you can rest assured that that's a good number because we do this a lot. We do it all day, every day. You're going to get that 80K minus any liens. So if you owe 79, you might get $1,000 in your pocket, right? But all you have to do is wait for closing and just go sign the docs. In the meantime, we're going to be working for you, doing all the heavy lifting and the legwork, as far as scheduling these showings for you, potentially going through the inspection process, paying for any lender requirements if it is a buyer that might want to live in this property. So any fees involved, including closing costs or realtors, we're going to cover everything for you. So you already know your price up front, and we're going to obviously mark this up to see if we can make a little bit of profit after paying for all those fees. Does that sound like that might work for you?
Is it that wordy?
It is, but I over-explain it so they can't not understand it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they're usually like, oh, yeah, that sounds good. That makes sense.
Like that works. Because I found they only care about their number, dude.
That's it.
Most people don't care about the timeline. Most people don't need money that fast.
That's true. Usually they want more time, a lot of times.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So usually like the 60 days, we used to lock them up at 90 during COVID, but we do 60 now on those. Usually they like that, and sometimes they still want a little bit more time. Obviously, if we find a buyer fast, we push them to close faster if possible, just so we can get that cash quicker. But it's usually, 60 days or so. That's what they want. So,
what would you say your mix is as far as like your deal flow versus
wholesale novation?
Yeah.
90% novation.
90% novation?
Yep. Last year we were probably around 60 to 70% novation, but this year it's been probably 90%. Yeah. We prefer our ultimate goal as our acquisition team, at least, is to get the wholesale price, but a novation contract. It just gives us options. You know what I mean? But if we can get a wholesale price and put it on the MLS, like those are the fat deals. That's the 90K kind of deals, like I told you about before we went live, because we got that at less than a wholesale price on a novation contract. So that was a killer deal.
So everything goes on the MLS.
Yeah, if possible. I mean, we do market it for like a week, to cash buyers, and usually we'll even say like this is not investor kind of deal, just so they don't think we're idiots. Like, yeah, this probably won't work for investors, but hey, if anyone's interested, here it is. And sometimes we do sell those, if we can make a 15 grand deal on it instead of 25 or so, waiting 60 days, then we'll do that as long as we know the seller can close quicker. So I would say we probably end up selling 25% of those to cash buyers anyway before it goes to MLS. But it's smarter to just, go to the MLS because you're going to make more money.
Yeah, because
it just depends on your cash at the time. You know what I mean? So if we need the cash at the time, we're like, okay, well, we'll take the 15. But if we don't, like, okay, we're going to wait because we know we can get 25 or 30, in 60 days. So kind of depends on that a lot of times.
Let me see here. Because what I've been doing, so these three are wholesale, but then novation. I've essentially just gone for a novation pitch, like you said, a novation pitch at a wholesale price every time now.
Yeah.
Is what I'm going for. If I can just get everything on the MLS, I feel like we'll be much better off.
For sure. Yeah, especially if you have, if you got 15 of those on the MLS at once, they're depending on where they're at in that cycle, you're still always getting closings. That's the hard part. Like, wholesale deals are quick closing and fast cash conversion, you know what I mean? But novations can be as well if you have a lot of them in the pipeline. You know what I mean?
Yeah, then it just
they're 60 days, but yeah, if they're stacked, then you're still getting closings all the time. So it doesn't really matter. It just matters when you're maybe just starting doing them potentially. But yeah.
How many leads to close are you right now?
I don't really know. I mean, because I don't do acquisitions. I've got 5 acquisition managers. But I would say our average traditionally has been in the 20 to 25 range. But, and I mean, that's even with the inbound stuff. That's just overall, because we used to do everything. We've only been doing inbound only probably since maybe September of last year is when we completely just went inbound only. Because we were still doing, I did TV over the summer. That was terrible. I did radio for over 3 years, just in a local market in Oklahoma, because that's kind of where we were based initially. And then TV was there too. TV is the only thing I've ever lost money on, to be honest. Out of every marketing show I've ever done, TV was the only one that we lost. But that was just because it's in Oklahoma, I think. So many small towns around Oklahoma City, CMA. That's all we got. I think we got 1 lead in 6 months in Oklahoma City. The rest were little tiny towns everywhere else.
Oh, and so you're not making any money.
Yeah, it was terrible. So yeah, we lost. We didn't lose a lot, but we probably lost close to 50 grand, which when I started PPC, we lost probably over 100 until I brought it in-house through a couple of different companies, just nobody's going to look at your campaigns like you will personally, in my experience. So that was hard too, till we figured out, how to do it ourselves.
Jeez. Because
Yeah.
right now, Lead Zolo is our sole provider. I'm 1 in 21 per lead, but I'm 1 in 10 that I can get a hold of.
Yeah.
Right? To where, like, if I can get a hold of them, we're about 1 in 10, and I'm happy with that. But I'm 1 in 20 overall.
Yeah. That's
to
good.
where we can't get a hold of 27% of our leads right now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm probably in the same boat because we have a bunch of leads that you just can't, like, even if you contact them right away, you know what I mean? They just flat don't reply. So we have them automatically on, I think it's a 20-day drip, like to where they get a text, RVM, or email every single day, sometimes 2 a day, different variety of that. And acquisition managers actively pursuing them as well. And it's like, man, these people, some of those people have been on that for a while, like, because we'll restart it after that 20 days.
Yeah.
But we just keep hounding them to death. I'm like, hey, we're going to call them 3 times in a row and send a text multiple times every single day. So we're like reaching them, 6, 7, 8 times a day, sometimes with human and automation both. And still some of them, some of them finally actually reply, but never do. A lot of them are spam, you find out too. Like it's not even a real lead, some of them.
About how many of those do you say you convert? If I can get someone on the phone in the first 2 weeks like that, I feel like there's like a 2-week window. Every day it goes down drastically.
Yeah.
But like after that, I haven't been able to get anybody on the phone after the first 2 weeks.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, we just have them on that drip. And then if they do respond, like after hours or something, obviously we have AI built in so they can have the conversation and warm it up. It goes through the whole, spill and everything with them. And then oftentimes it'll end up scheduling an appointment for my acquisition manager to call the next morning. But if they don't, at least it already did some of the work to where they're getting, responses. That's been helpful.
Do you have American acquisitions managers?
Yeah. For a little while, I was doing virtual, like VA type people only. But I completely switched that like a year ago. It's like American only now. I just felt like they were closing, but I felt like the opportunity cost was costing me more, like
the labor cost and commission cost.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. That's what I felt like. And I think it's true, just because they just don't know our culture enough. They're just not, it's just not the same, no matter how well they're trained. Yes, they were closing deals and it was cool because you're paying them, $5 an hour plus $500 or whatever it is. Right. But at the end of the day, I feel like, well, if that was an American, they probably could have tripled that productivity. And yeah, you paid more, but you made more. So,
were they in the Philippines or were they in Mexico?
No, I had Egyptians.
Yeah, I quit hiring Egyptians altogether.
Yeah, I won't anymore now because all they do is just steal your leads and trying to market it to someone else, like stuff like that. Now it seems because we actually doing that. Like we record because we were making them go into the screen recorder, so we're like watching like what they do. They're like copying and pasting stuff and giving people passwords to our softwares. Like, no, it's not happening.
That's what we ran into it where someone in Egypt who we fired went back to all of our employees and then was paying people their salary to give them all of their leads. So it was in a situation where I was like, well, fuck, bro. You got some random person who's going to make double what they'd usually make just to get the lead. Call magicians was really big. And so we found that out. But there's always the Egyptians, which was crazy.
That is crazy. Yeah, I do like the Filipinos. It's just that's even more of a cultural barrier. You know what I mean? But
the South American people I found have been the best.
Yeah,
we have some Filipinos, some South Americans, but the South American and like Jamaican people have been the best on the phones.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I always think somebody like with that kind of an accent, people receive that well.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? As opposed to like Indian accents or something like that. You know what I mean? Or even Filipino accents, because everybody's from the Philippines these days. That's cold calling, it seems like. But I feel like like some of those other accents are just more well received. I like it.
How many leads a day are your sales reps getting?
So we probably bring in like 50 leads a week average. So,
Okay.
I mean, we technically have, 5 acquisition managers, but they're always at different stages, right? Because I'm always hiring, because most people just can't do what they say they can do, right? So they just end up being gone quick. So I'm always hiring like 3 or 4 at a time, even though we don't need them, right? Because the goal
Commission.
is I just want, commission only, but the goal is I just want like 4 solid ones, right?
Okay.
So I'm just always hiring because I know someone's going to fall off soon because they're just not cutting it. And it's not me getting rid of them. They're just going to quit because they're not making money. They're not making money because they're not hitting the KPIs. They're not hitting the KPIs because they don't have the work ethic or whatever. I always tell people, if you have work ethic alone, whether you have closing skills or not, like, you're going to do well.
Yeah.
You outperform a closer all day, every day. But if you're a closer with the work ethic, like, you're going to kill it. So are you one or the other, or are you both? Usually it's one or the other. But yeah.
And you just use like Wise Hire to hire everybody, and you just have a constant interview process going?
I just use Indeed. Yeah. I always have an ad. I never stop it. I just pause it, and then I'll turn it back on a few weeks later. But as far as leads go, yeah. So I bring in about 50 leads a week, and it's just whoever's hungriest gets them. It's first come, first serve type of deal. But we also have, like 7,000 viable leads in our system that they're required to follow up with too. They're all on automation also, but that human touch is just a lot.
Yeah. I mean, they can just call, if you have 7,000 leads, if someone's not lasting, that's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's so easy to hit these KPIs if you're just working. That's why I say, like, work ethic's going to be, closing any day, because that's what happens is the repetition. You can become a good closer just because you've done it so many times at that point. You know what I mean? Because I sold Yellow Pages back in the day. You're too young to even know what those are, probably, but just kidding. But no, I sold Yellow Pages for 8 years, and I was number one in the whole company almost every single year I was there, out of 600 reps. And people are always asking me, like, what's your secret? And I'm like, I don't have a secret. I just actually work all day, every day. You know what I mean? And like, when you're out there, because this was business to business, right? So you're driving around, you're going into these businesses. I'm like, I don't just drive around. I actually pull my car over and walk into these businesses and talk to them. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. And I became a good closer because I did thousands and thousands of them over years, when everybody else was doing, like, oh, they're too scared to get out of their car.
Yeah.
So I learned to be a good closer because of my work ethic. You know what I mean? So that's what people don't understand. Like, repetition makes you better, period.
And so, bro, what's your training like for your reps? They come in, I'm guessing they're like a leads manager, just following up with people.
Or they come have lead managers because we have the automation and AI that does all that for us. So they come in as acquisition manager. I mean, there is like a ramp up period. I always tell them, like, hey, plan on not making any money for 60 days, because, even if you get a deal right out of training, you're still looking at probably 45 before that closes, right? So I'm always making sure they have something to sustain them for a little bit. And then I said, then I just tell them that, like, here's the KPIs. Like, these are not hard to hit. You just have to be a hard worker, just do the deal. That's it. Make the calls, do the repetitions, and you're going to succeed. But so literally after they do onboarding docs, and I get them their smartphones, in our Podio and whatever. Then they're going through the SOPs. So I've got 27 modules of descriptive, super detailed SOPs with all video training of me explaining and telling them exactly what to do, how to do it. So then after they go through that once, obviously it's usually overwhelming. So I always say, okay, now go through it a second time, because now some of it's going to stick a little bit better. Take notes as you go. And then after you finish the second time, we're going to do some one-on-one training, like live training. Like, let's actually put these things into action. So I'll do it on a huddle with them. Like, let's make calls together. Let me show you exactly what I was talking about in all these videos, so you can kind of see how the flow goes. So we'll do that together for a couple of days usually. So usually it's like a 5-day training typically, because there are 3 days on the SOPs twice. And then 2 days, one-on-one with me doing live training. And then after that, the second week, they're all in long-term follow-up leads only. So just our, leads you're just kind of cold, but they're still warm leads because they raise their hand at some point, right? So they're calling those only until they can get through like a couple of hundred calls and some decent conversations just for their practice. So they know that they're ready. And then after that, they're able to take new leads and stuff like that.
What's your fallout in training and how interactive is it? If they're just sitting on modules, I found that people sitting on modules have a higher fallout rate.
Yeah. Well, we're super communicative, however you say that. We communicate a lot on Slack. So we invite people into Slack as soon as they're onboarded, just to have, any questions. So we're checking in on them almost every day, like or a couple of times a day usually. I've got a sales manager that helps. Like I kind of do the initial training typically, recently at least. But then after that, it's kind of handed off to my sales manager, which she's also my Dispo manager, but she is really good in sales and just knows this business really well. So she kind of helps, kind of train and do trainings with them weekly and things like that. But yeah, nobody files out during training usually.
Okay.
Because we communicate a lot and we always ask them, because also we say, leave comments, thumbs up, whatever on all these videos, because we can see all that, and definitely take good notes, and we can go over any of those, once you finish through them all. But most of them are excited because they're like, okay, that's cool. They feel like they're getting somewhere, and they're just happy to have the opportunity in most cases, But yeah, that's the thing too. We hire commission only reps because we've tried every pay scale. Like for us, nothing's worked except for all commission. We've tried the draws, and then those people just milk the draw and then never do anything. We've tried the base plus commission. It's kind of the same thing. They just get used to their base and don't do a whole lot to make commission. Like all the best sales reps, in my experience, has always been commission only. And that's how it was in Yellow Pages.
Yeah, they kill shit.
Yeah, you get paid what you're worth, period. So we have over 100 apps. Every time every time I unpause that ad, there's over 100 applicants every time, and they all know it's all commission. So those are easy to find, but harder to stick for sure. You know what I mean? Because most of them think they're closers or say they can close, and they've got the proven track record like we look for, and they interview well, and they go through the Colby test, the personality stuff. All that looks good. Everything looks good, but then they just flat don't perform. Some of them,
How much leeway do you give them?
How much leeway?
Yeah.
I mean, you know what's funny? I was just actually thinking about this yesterday. Well, to answer your question, like they've got to hit minimums at least. At first, the first couple of weeks out of training, like, I'm pretty lenient because I'm like, okay, they're still figuring things out, right? So we try to do more and more training. Like we want them to succeed, because it's a lot of time and money just to even onboard somebody, even an all commission rep, right?
Oh yeah.
So we want them to succeed for sure. So we're putting a lot of time and energy in these people. Like I do one-on-ones with them, even though I hire 2 or 3 at a time, usually, sometimes 4 at a time. I still do one-on-one as opposed to the group.
Yeah.
So they can like really feel special and really get it. So they can be unapologetically asking whatever they need to ask. Right. But still, a lot of them just don't cut it. So we'll give them a couple weeks leeway, and then after that, they've got to at least hit the minimums, like, or this just isn't cut out for you. And I'm always stressing too, like, you're not an employee, you're a 1099 contract labor person. So technically you could do whatever you want. Right. But if you want to succeed, here's the things that you need to do to succeed. I've gotten smarter with my wording over the last year because I'm in a lawsuit even currently with a previous rep, because everybody's 1099s, but, they're trying to claim that, no, you treated her like an employee, but anyways, so I'm careful with my words. I repeat every day how people are not employees at this point.
You are not an employee. This is just whatever
you want to do. I'm not telling you to do anything, but if you want to succeed, here's the steps you need to do. Here's the things you have to do if you want to actually make money. So usually they weed themselves out, which is awesome. I've never had to fire anyone except for that one girl that's suing me right now. So
what about what's the daily cadence for you? Like you do like a morning huddle that's a sales training that your sales manager leads. Like what does that look like?
We have a weekly Monday morning meeting for everyone. And then usually on a Wednesday, we'll do sales training like at noon. And a lot of times it's just me getting on the phones and letting them watch me, to show them how to do this, how you can take notes and still listen to them and comp the property at the same, like, how do you do all those things at once? So I let them watch me do it. And that's honestly been the best training of anything, because they can actually see me doing it and how to make it all work and make it all happen. So that's kind of cool.
What's
and it's
been
fun too. I love being on the phones.
What's been like your lifespan of a sales rep?
So the longest one I ever had was 3 years. I've had several 1.5 to 2 years. A lot of those people are, we tend to look for, intrapreneurs, right? We don't really want an entrepreneur, but we need like an entrepreneur kind of person, right? To where they kind of take the lead and treat it as their own thing, but don't want to really run their own thing, and that's been a blessing and a curse, because we look for those kind of people. Oftentimes people end up leaving because their side hustle ends up getting blown up or something, you know what I mean? Or whatever. Like we had a really good girl for a while, and she was doing well, and she had a staging business on the side, and just it ended up blowing up, and it was too busy for her to do this while that was growing so much. So, usually the good ones leave for those kind of reasons almost every time. And that's cool, because I want them to succeed and do what they need to do to better their lives, their families or whatever. So I'm okay with that. But yeah, it's really painful though when somebody only lasts a few months after you put all the time and energy into them. You know what I mean? That's why it's
the biggest headache.
We try to have all the precautionary things out there. Like there's like 4 steps to our interview process. But no matter what you do, people just don't work out. They always talk the big game, but can they actually walk it? Most people can't.
What are your minimums that you have?
Let me pull it up over here. So it's super easy. It's 50 calls a day.
Bro.
Yeah. And you have to have at least half of those in text messages in addition. So 25 texts. I'm waiting for it to pull up still. I think it's 180 minutes of talk time. No, it's 60 per day. Okay, here it is. It pulled up finally. 50 calls, 25 texts, 60 minutes of talk time, 1 contract.
A day?
Per week. The contract a week.
That's all?
Yeah, that's the minimums. So 50 calls a day, 25 texts a day, 60 minutes of talk time a day. That's the minimums.
And they should be hitting a contract a week.
Yeah, if you have that, you should hit a contract a week if you're a decent closer. Yeah. So we have 3 levels of KPI, and that's kind of how I position that too, because we kind of have a base, not really, but we have a KPI base. If you hit, because we've got 3 levels, if you hit the minimum, then you're going to make, and they're small, it's $100 a week. But if you just hit the minimum, you're making $100 a week. At least it's something, just to kind of get you going. And then we have our standards. That's $200 a week if you hit those. And we have our rockstar goals. It's $300 a week if you hit those. So, and I'm always really clear when I hire people, like, we got people that hitting minimums. I'm not looking for another minimums, right? I need somebody hitting these rockstar goals, like not once, but every single week. And even those goals aren't really hard, in my opinion. It's 100
What are the
calls,
rockstars?
100 calls a day and 75 texts a day. And then 180 talk time minutes. So 3 hours of actual talk time.
A day?
Per day. Mm-hmm.
I can see that one being harder at times. Because, you've got enough leads to where not necessarily.
Yeah. And some people have argued, well, I just talk a lot and I'm on the phone, and all that's good because you're building more rapport. But when you go off on tangents about life for 30 minutes, that's not productive.
Yeah. I ran into that with 2 reps who we had, to where like they had 45-minute calls and we didn't fucking get anywhere.
Exactly.
I was like, bro, you're not building rapport. You're just wasting time.
Yeah. That's exactly what one of my reps, like, you have a lot of talk time. Yeah. But a lot of that's just wasted. Like talk time, you didn't need to be on the phone, you should be talking to other people, So that's probably part of the problem too. It's like people think you have to be a Oh, I'm talkative and I'm outgoing. Well, that's kind of the opposite of what we're looking for.
Yeah.
The more quiet and reserved people are the ones that kill it in sales because they're good listeners. You got to listen way more than you do talk. So most people just don't get that. That's why it was funny because I was always quiet growing up as a kid and stuff. So my whole family was surprised when I went into sales. Right, I've been in sales like my whole life as an adult, but they were all like shocked. Well, like you don't even talk. What are you doing in sales? I'm like, I don't know, just But I never knew then. I know now. It's because I didn't talk. I listened so I can know what their pain points are and use it against them. Whereas the gabber over there is just talking their head off and don't even know what they're doing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's so they get they could possibly get a base of $2,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Or is the
No,
rock
1,200. It'd be 1,200 if they hit that every week. 300 a week.
How the hell doesn't everybody hit that?
Because they don't have the work ethic. Honestly, that's usually what it is. Like we just had our training yesterday or Wednesday, I guess, and I was like looking at their KPIs. I'm like, you're not going to hit your personal goals, and you're not going to help us hit our company goals with these numbers. Like you have to do more. Like doesn't cut it. Don't compare yourself to any other rep. Compare yourself to these KPI numbers because that's what you got to be at. Because that's what people end up doing. They're looking at their coworker and like, oh, well, they only did a certain amount of calls, so I'm probably okay with that too. I'm like, no, if you're going to compare yourself to that, then you're going to fail. But and one girl stepped up. She got 162 calls today because she only had like 40 yesterday. So like you just have to be consistent. Like this business is all consistency, especially as a sales rep. Like my whole motto, my whole life in sales has been to be relentlessly, consistently persistent. Like I'm all of those things all the time. Because if you can do that, you're going to succeed in anything that you do, really. But it's especially true in sales. Like so going back to my story with the yellow page thing, like they're always like, well, can I ride with you? What's your secret? Like, whatever, ride with me. I don't really care. I don't have secrets. I just actually work. I'm relentlessly, consistently persistent. Like I do it all day, every day.
I'm just amazed that people can't hit the easiest goal ever.
I know. I mean, most people do hit the minimums, but like I said, like I'm not looking for people to hit minimums. Like who's going to hit these? Because these rockstar goals really aren't even that difficult. Because really, we don't even judge them on the contracts per se. It's just the calls, texts, and talk time. Because if you have those, the contracts and the projected revenue and the actual revenue is going to follow.
Have you just tried bumping up the goals and like the minimum is now 200 calls a day?
No, I haven't tried that. Because I feel like, well, they're not even hitting, the standards of the rockstar goals. Like, is that going to hurt morale or the, your whole culture of everything? I don't know. It probably would, but maybe it won't. I don't know. I just feel like they're super attainable, and so they should be able to hit them. It's kind of my thought process. And I was even thinking about, telling my developer like to build something in to where, and tell people this on the interview, like to where the system just automatically locks them out. Like if you go 2 weeks in a row without at least hitting minimums, like you just get locked out of the system. So you're just automatically not part of our team anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if I tell them that up front, like it's no hard feelings. It's just numbers. Like I don't even have to tell you that. Just the system told you that because you're not hitting them, So I'm honestly contemplating that. Like just say like, hey, if they go 2 weeks, because I feel like it has to be 2 weeks because what if they're on vacation for a week, right? So because if the system's automatically doing it, so a way around that is like if they go 2 weeks in a row without hitting them, then it's just going to lock them out. So then
and everybody's virtual.
Talk with them, and they already know too. You know what I mean? What'd you say?
Everyone's virtual.
Yeah, we're all virtual, man. We live all over the place. So I'm in Colorado. I've got my Dispo manager is in Oklahoma. I've got an acquisition manager in British Columbia. I've got one in North Carolina. I've got one in that guy's in Oklahoma too. I've got another Dispo girl. She's in Mexico City. She speaks better English than you and I. She's been with me a couple years. But yeah, we're all over the place, man. So definitely those like the Slack. We communicate all day, every day on Slack. That definitely helps. We've got a team Slack channel where, pumping each other up every time there's a deal that happens or a deal that's sold or a deal that's closed, any of that. So I feel like we have the best culture you could have as a virtual team, at least. You know what I mean? Obviously, nothing's going to replace like in-person type stuff, but same thing as talking with sellers. Nothing's going to replace in person, but can you really go to every house in person and scale that? And maybe, but it's not the model that we use. I mean, I've always been virtual because of my situation. I started out virtual.
Yeah.
Because, we talked several years ago, like I lived in 2 states.
Yeah.
So I had to be virtual, you know what I mean? So that's just what I became accustomed to. So COVID really jump-started us because we were one of the few companies that were already doing that virtual stuff, like it just helped us because I literally tripled marketing and boom, that was our breakout year, COVID. Because now we can like capitalize on what people aren't used to, and we already do this every day, So
with your Dispo process, how long do you wait until you cancel a deal? Right now, I'm sitting at like 2 weeks. Like I think like a week to 2 weeks. Like if you feel like you could still get some more going if you haven't been in the market before, this is wholesale wise.
Yeah.
Novation wise, I feel like if we don't get offers like within the first week, we fucked up.
Yeah. I mean, novation deals, like I said, we still try to shoot those out to cash buyers, even though we know most of them are not going to bite on it. But we are clear as well, too, because we don't want them to think that we're just idiots. Like this is a wholesale type of deal, because it's not. We're like, if you know any retail type buyers looking for as is or something like that, But yeah, so a week on novation, if we don't sell it off market, then we'll put it on the market. And then we'll let a week go by because we shoot it up high first, and then if that doesn't take, we'll go down like 25% of our fee and relist it. So I would say another 2 weeks, so 3 weeks total now because the first week was off market attempts, and then at that point we just end up having a conversation because then we have a lot of feedback because a lot of people have been in there at that point, and we can put that back on the seller like, here's the feedback we're getting from buyers. This is why it's not selling. And usually it's because sellers are liars. Usually it's because you didn't tell us everything, going on. We just found out that there's actually foundation issues. Have you ever noticed those cracks in the back of your house, up by the door and on the ceiling and, going down the wall, all that, that's costly. So yeah, we agreed to this price based on what you told us. And now it's, suddenly $15,000 more in repairs. So if you're willing to, go down, I think we could probably move this for you. So, but we'll end up canceling but most people will renegotiate. I've found like on my attempts of renegotiating, on all the times I've ever done it, I think I've only been unsuccessful once. Because usually, you have justification. It's not like we're just asking it because we want to make more money or asking it for the fun of it. You're asking it because it's justified. You told us this, and here's actually what it is. So
yeah,
but wholesale wise, I mean, we'll do it a couple times or a couple weeks usually, and then we'll do the same thing, have that same conversation, but it's different because we're the buyer now because it's wholesale. So we'll tell them like, hey, there's more issues than you alluded to when we did this deal. So we still want to buy it and we're still good to close, in 2 weeks from now, but we really got to be at this number because we found out all these things. So usually they renegotiate if you tell them, like, just tell them how it is. Like, here's the repair cost and here's what you told me and here's what it really is. Yeah.
Right.
So we don't really have a lot of fallout because of that, usually it's because of title issues or, occasionally it's because we pay too much, but usually I would say 90% of the time they're going to renegotiate and go lower anyways.
Because I'm looking besides these ones in fucking East St. Louis, because I couldn't even drop the prices to nothing.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't give the houses away. And I was like, bro, no one wants to buy this thing for 10 grand. And I've learned if any house in St. Louis needs significant rehab, it's over.
Yeah.
If any in Michigan, but we pulled out of Michigan completely, essentially, because it's just I don't know why nobody wants houses, but nobody wants houses.
I know, it's really sad. It's like, man, you can get these smoking deals, you give people opportunity for affordable houses, but still can't sell them. It's crazy. Yeah, dude, we got a house for $50 last year. We couldn't sell it. You know why? It was in South Dakota. Obviously, we've never marketed there, but we ended up getting the deal there. So we're like, yeah, $50, that's worth a shot, right? But no, we couldn't sell it.
Was it in like a major city?
No. I mean, that's the problem. It's like most of Montana is nothing, right? Or not Montana too, but South Dakota. Most of South Dakota is like nothing. So this is part of that nothing area. You know, like an hour to a city. You know, they might have a handful of houses out there. You know, and we knew it was like a long shot, anyways. But we're like, $50 is worth a try at least. But we were upfront with them, like, I don't know if we can sell this or not, but we'll try. But yeah, I mean, I thought about buying it myself. Then what I'm gonna do? It's just gonna sit there, can't find a renter because nobody even lives there. You know what I mean? So, like,
right. And then what are you gonna do? Fly out there and can't do anything?
On? Right.
I had one on a contract in Alabama for $6,000 and couldn't sell it. Sounds about right.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah, like usually that's what's cool too, is like my system will spit out the MAOs for us. So if the numbers are like negative $30,000, like, okay, let's just go ahead and close that deal out because it's never going to happen, right? Like you never have a shot at it. When that's the problem with part of the Midwest. Like the ARVs are so low, like you don't even have a chance. Like you said, if it's a full gut or anything like that, like it costs more to fix it up than the house would ever be worth. Not even worried about today, but even in 10 years, it ain't going to be worth that. You know what I mean? So what's the point?
Bro, that's what, because I pulled out of anything. I tried to not go for anything less than 150,000 ARV. Yeah. I think that's what can keep you alive. And if I look at these that we have active, one of them in fucking Kingman, Arizona, a little bit high, but then we have a little bit low, but then all the rest of them are, one of them's a sub 2. That's solid. But then the rest of these are all over 100,000 ARV.
Nice.
Because you can't do anything else. So like what markets do you absolutely stay away from with your nationwide marketing?
So the Dakotas for sure, Montana. I actually even exclude most of the West Coast, honestly.
How come?
It's just difficult to do deals, and I know people that do it at a high level, but to do deals, you know, like in Oregon, or what's the other one? Even like Washington and even California. I mean, I know people do it all the time, but it's just so different, and it's so much more. You got to know so much more about those areas. You know what I mean? Because it's like California is just completely different than anywhere else. We have done deals there before, but I don't market there on purpose. We still get leads there, you know, occasionally. But
bro, I think California is way easier than anything else because everything's ARV. But everything's ARV is the thing, right? So like nobody's really going for, because like in Michigan, there's so many shit boxes where a buyer can go buy anything else. If you can get the seller nailed down at a decent price in California, you're making money.
Yeah, I agree with that. In Denver's the same way, really. But I don't market here either, just because of that. Like it's so competitive, and everybody's like giving basically full price. You know, it's like it's just easier with our model because we do so many deals in the Midwest, and they're all very similar markets. When you're mostly in the Midwest and part of the East Coast and South, they're all kind of similar. You know what I mean? So it just makes it, you know, easier for my acquisition managers to figure out just because it's all similar. Even though my system will underwrite those for us, you know, if you get the ARV, because you underwrite deals differently in every market, right? Based on where you're at and based on, you know, the size of the market, if it's big or not, and, you know, based on if there's buyers there or not. So So we have done deals there because our system will tell you like, hey, you can give this amount. Like it seems high, but for the most part, we exclude those areas though. So yeah, so to answer your question, we pretty much exclude the West Coast and the upper part of the states, and all the New England areas. We exclude those. Well, we do the DMV, but that's it.
Yeah.
And then so we actively do basically the Midwest over to the East Coast, and then kind of South Florida and all that stuff. We do all that.
Yeah, because I don't want anything with New York. We have one in Maine right now. It's going to be a pain in our ass. Yeah, I don't want anything up there. Like, bro, we were getting stuff in like Minnesota.
Yeah.
Don't want nothing up there.
I think I've done one deal there before. It was like in the Tri-City though, or whatever they call it, Minneapolis area. You know what I mean? Minneapolis.
It has to be there because like we get some stuff in like random, like Duluth. I didn't even know Duluth was a place.
That's underwear, isn't it?
Yeah, it's underwear, and it actually came from Duluth, Minnesota. I'm guessing.
Maybe.
So anything in like the northern part, and then we get stuff in solid Midwest markets, Texas, Florida. But even some of this Alabama stuff, I feel like it may be too cheap to even have it be fun.
Maybe. I always thought that about Mississippi as well. But man, we've been having really good success in Mississippi lately. We've done several deals there, so I kind of like it as long as it's somewhat close to a major metro. Like Jackson, like it's not a gigantic city, but there's a lot of small communities within 30-minute drive, and we've had good luck with all those almost suburbs. You know what I mean? So those have been really good. But yeah, we love. We probably do most of our deals in Ohio. Is probably where we get most of them. We do a lot in Ohio, Oklahoma, Indiana, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, occasional Iowa, occasional everything in between. We've got one in Delaware right now, which is weird. We don't market there. We do a lot in Chicago.
You do a lot in Chicago?
Yeah, we do a lot in Chicago. We've been getting a lot of deals in Florida over the last 6 months. So we've done several there too lately.
I kind of pulled out of Illinois. So how do you get around the Illinois stuff? You still just wholesale and call it a day?
Yeah, we've never had issues yet. It's the title company that you use that's going to tell on you or not, and the buyer, could too. But for the most part, I feel like most of the buyers, like, they don't want to lose the wholesaler because that's where they get their deals. But I haven't had any issues there yet. It's not like we do tons and tons of deals there, but we probably do one a month there, I bet.
Okay.
Yeah. And usually it's in the Chicago area.
Bro, I didn't know Chicago, they have 3 days to back out of a contract.
Do they?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. That's good to know.
They're pieces of shit for that. I had one that was ARV 300 and I had it for 100.
Oh man.
And I get an email from their attorney saying they're going in another direction. I was like, you can't. It's a legally binding contract. He was like, no, we actually have 3 days. And I was like, you're a piece of shit.
Wow, that sucks. Yeah, we had a lady in Kentucky recently that she was canceling. It's definitely a buyer that's circumventing us. He's a realtor though, like he just ruined the whole deal for us because he was like trying to demand all these things and we weren't complying. We're like, no, you're not going to tell us what we're going to do. This is what we can do, take it or leave it type of thing. So he ended up saying, shove it basically. And he definitely went to the seller and got it under contract with her. And then she's like sending us all these snapshots of like the laws there locally. Like supposedly, I guess you're supposed to be licensed there too. I didn't even know that in Kentucky. But she was like sending us snapshots of all the laws and stuff in Kentucky. I still filed a memo on it as soon as she was boxing it. But and he actually sent their attorney sent me a letter like, hey, you need to whatever. I'm like, yeah. As soon as they send me 5,000, I'll cancel it. Let me know. I don't care because I actually have that in our contract now. Like if the seller backs out, you owe us $5,000. It's in our contract now.
With the buyers?
With the sellers.
Really?
Yeah, because there's so many people out there like, oh, well, I just got a 10,000 better offer. I'm not talking to you. I'm ghosting you now. Like
Yeah.
that's happened so much lately. I'm like, forget that. I'm putting this in the contract, and that's worked because if their attorney calls or anything else, like, hey, it's in our contract. They owe us $5,000. I'll release that memo or affidavit or whatever as soon as you send me $5,000. Otherwise, it's going to stay there forever. I don't really care. Do what you want to me. It's staying there forever.
And then how do you read that over with the seller? Like, hey, if you decide you're not
We don't
going to,
mention it. They see it. We don't mention it. They see it. Just like we don't mention the inspection period. Like it's just there. Like if they balk at it, we're on the phone with them. So I'm here for any questions that you have. Just read through this, sign at the bottom. They just read through it and sign it. It's never been an issue. One
I
person
don't even have an inspection period. I just have this property is contingent upon a final walkthrough inspection.
Okay. We don't either. Technically, it is one, but it's the same amount of days as the contract. So
yeah.
Well, we try not to, cancel on last minute. We try to do the right thing still. Obviously, if we know it's not going to work out, we're not waiting until day 30 or whatever it is. If possible, not.
You want to try? Let's see if this guy will pick up. Then I'm gonna have you pitch him an ovation over the fucking StreamYard.
Sweet. Did you already give him a price, or y'all already talked about this a little bit?
Go for 25. Tell him we could do 10, but we want 20. We could do 25. He wants 32.
25 is the novation price.
25 is the novation price, and I think we'd make some good money.
Cool.
Let me see if he picks up.
If he picks up, you just want me to take it over right there?
Yep.
Cool. Where's it located?
Osala, Florida.
Osada? What's his name?
Donald.
Huh?
Donald.
Got it. Is it ringing? I don't hear it.
You don't hear it?
I heard it for a second.
Let me check my audio. It's because it's reducing background noise. We may have a little bit of an echo. Well, let's try this again. Could you hear that?
I heard it like intermittently.
Okay, we'll try it one more time. Let's see if he picks up.
Yeah, I love it. I call everybody 3 times in a row.
Hey, Donald, is now a good time? This is Stratton. We were the company who was going to buy your house. Is now a good time? I got my manager on the phone. Awesome. Graylan, can you see if he can hear you?
Hey, Donald, can you hear me? This is Graylan. I can't really hear him very well at all, actually.
Oh, dang it. Can you hear me, Donald?
I heard nothing.
So I had a chance to talk to the team, and I guess my manager can't hear you. I mean, we came back, and I mean, the cash price would have to be like $15,000. And I told him, that's not going to work for him. Because like you were looking to walk away with that total, right? Yeah, like you were looking to walk away with that in your pocket, weren't you? Split after you split it with your ex. And so I told him we can't do that. So he was like, you know what? you may qualify for another program that we have. And the way it works is we have a network of nationwide buyers and a bunch of other partner investors who could come in and buy this. The only condition is we're just going to have to be able to pre-market it and bring in our partners to be able to come buy this. We're not going to be the only ones buying it. Probably someone else is going to come in with it. But at that price, we could get you that around 25. Would that be something that would work for you? How far off are we though? Oh, Donald, wait. Oh, you wouldn't even want to negotiate? So even if we told you, hey, if we could get some extra time and give you 32, you'd still be good? Do we lose him? All right. I'm going to redial him.
That's so weird. I can't even hear anything at all. Like, I don't even hear him at all. Zero. I don't know why. I can hear you. Is there something I can do with my audio on my side, or?
No, it's my audio.
Hmm.
It's all right. I'll give him a call back next week. He was like, I'm good. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I couldn't hear him. Nothing.
It's okay. We'll still get it. 32 wasn't bad, honestly.
Yeah, that's what I've learned too, man. Like, I've lost so many deals over a few $1,000, to be honest. And it's like it's always me just being stubborn. Like, I really want to win. Like, I'm going to get my price type of thing. And then
For
it's like,
me,
I
I'm
should
scared because we've locked up so much shit,
Yeah.
like too high. You know what I'm saying?
I'm the same way. That's why I do it. That's why I stick to it. But then I shoot myself in the foot sometimes because I'm like, man, I could have gave a few thousand. Wouldn't have killed me. But
because you wanted 32. I came in at 25. I didn't think that was a huge gap. You know?
$7,000.
But I've just locked up too much stuff in markets we don't know it too high and we can't get it sold, and then Dispo spins their wheels.
Yeah.
Oh well, I'll call him back next week and be like, hey, I'll text him. I'll text him like, hey, if we give you 32, do you want to move forward?
Yeah, I wish we could do some calls together where we can actually hear each other. Like, if I could hear that call, I definitely would have tried to pitch that for you. I can't even hear him at all. It was just like you were talking to yourself.
Okay. Let's see if we can. Let me try another one. Let me change my audio settings. Is it kind of echoey though?
No, I literally now it is. Now it's echo. I hear myself talking. But before I did not hear anything at all. I sort of heard a quarter of a ring, but once he answered, evidently, I couldn't hear nothing. Not even like distance. You know what I mean? But now I'm hearing myself talk. That's weird.
Okay, let me go to another lead. We'll try this person. We had a new lead come in where someone inherited it.
Nice. I hear that ring.
Automated voice messaging. Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system. 46966628882.
Yeah, these people who come in and then when you call them immediately don't pick up the phone are insane to me.
I know. It's really shocking. Like, you're Googling, I need my help right now, and now you want to answer. Interesting.
And I think ours is YouTube, Facebook, and PPC. But I'd say the lead quality's been insane. It's honestly been really good.
Really? That's good.
Because I don't think I'll do cold calling again unless it's really niche and it's or storage or commercial.
Yeah.
All right, we'll try another one of these.
Call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.
What are your guys' working hours?
Like I said, nobody's an employee, so they can kind of do what they want. But we encourage them like 9 to 6. So for most people do.
Because I'm essentially at the end of my day as far as leads being able to pick up.
Yeah, for sure. Like at 6 where I live, we go by Central Time because we're based in Oklahoma, so it's 7 there. But then East Coast, it's 8.
Yeah, like
So,
8 o'clock. Because
yeah.
most of our stuff is like East
Exactly.
Coast,
Eastern Time.
Eastern Standard Time,
Yep.
and so we're out of it.
We'll hold those up until like 9, but not after that. That is the challenge. That's one reason too. It's like then you've got you're Pacific, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a big difference. It's like a 5-hour difference. Isn't it?
It's 3.
Is it
But
3?
The hard part is you want to get to the leads first thing in the morning when they come in overnight.
Yeah. That's why we have automatic text that goes out, and if they respond, AI is talking to them. It's pretty cool to watch that AI have a conversation with somebody. Because sometimes I'll be working at midnight, but I'm not answering the call. I'll just let AI do it. It's pretty cool to watch it all happen. Like they'll just take it through the whole process and take a book appointment. It's their whole goal.
That's the only thing that's bad with Resimply is they won't, if it's outside of like regular business hours, legally just to be A2P, they don't want to send it out automatically.
Yeah. We only will if they call us. But like all the automation stuff, it's like I try to do it between like 10 and 5 so that if it's whatever time zone, it still works out.
Yeah. Because like they wouldn't let us send a text as soon as someone comes in, but I was like, I get 4 leads a night. I would like them to get a text message.
Yeah,
because like I'll have one coming at like 2 a.m.
Yeah. It's funny because we'll have those all the time coming at 2 or 3 in the morning. And you just wake up the next day to this big old conversation that AI had with them. And now they have a 10 o'clock appointment to call them. Dude, that echo is killing me. Can you change your setting again?
Oh, I got you. What about now?
Yeah, perfect.
So are you all on Podio?
Yeah.
I hate Podio.
You hate it?
I hate it.
Oh, yeah. I tried to leave it once, and that was 6 months of a nightmare and lots of lost money, and I went back to it. Like, I have the best Podio in the industry, hands down. Anybody can challenge me on that. Like, I've spent probably 50 to 60 grand on it at this point. Like, it does everything. There's no other system out there that can do what my Podio does.
That's why
it's not even close. Because I use Go High Level for my marketing company, but I even talked to my developer because he'll develop on both. He's like, dude, there's nothing as good as your Podio. So why would you use Go High Level for? Because I was going to move over to that because I'm already.
I think Go High Level's better. I don't like Podio. I don't like the fact that you have to really, really code. I like Go High Level because you don't necessarily have to code.
I think it's better, overall when you're starting out and all that kind of thing. But at where mine is at the moment, mine is 3 times better. Just because I've put so much into it. I have over almost 700 automations in my Podio. and I have 10 different workspaces, and they all talk to each other. Like, it's super dynamic.
Do you have a dev on staff?
Basically, I mean, we have a meeting once a week, and I mean, he charges me, hourly, just on whatever the project is. So it's not like he has on a salary or anything. But I mean, I pay him pretty much every week because we're always refining things, making it better or making a change. Like, I might change something, like, oh, I think it's going to be a good idea, and then I don't like it. So I'm like, I change it back. So yeah, I'm paying for that, twice kind of. But it is what it is, just the goal is to just make it so simple that anybody can do it. Like, literally, my acquisition managers currently, all they have to do is know how to comp, and the system does the rest, and be negotiators, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But, my new comping software is going to solve that too. So soon, all they'll have to do is be able to negotiate. That's it. The rest is done for them pretty much, So yeah, that'll be cool.
Do you want to tease your comping software?
Yeah. I mean, it's, there's a reason that this hasn't been done yet, because I know a lot of people have tried to have a comping software solution, but it's so difficult and it's almost impossible, because there's so many variables, right, involved. But I literally have the #1 Python developer in the world working on it, and his right-hand man is one of my best friends. That's how I even came up with this, because I was just chilling with him, on a little vacation camping trip, and happened to mention like what I wanted. He's like, dude, I can make that happen, because I work hand in hand with the #1 Python developer in the world, so we can definitely do that. So anyways, long story short, we started doing it. So 200 grand into the thing now, and over a year time. But that's why I said that there's a reason that this doesn't already exist. It's literally a comping solution to where you will get comps instantly. So you get the actual ARV first try. All you got to do is enter the address, spits out the real ARV, spits out all the comps right away. And it'll also give you the MAO for wholesale and novation. And those parameters can be changed, obviously. Like, if you want to make 10 grand on a deal, then it's going to factor that in. And it's got 5 levels of rehab that you can, we're going to make that to where that's user friendly as well. But, we've done so many deals nationwide now. Like, we got a pretty good handle on those condition levels, and it's pretty solid. So, nothing's perfect, but it's going to be the closest thing out there to perfect. To where it's truly a solution, because that's the biggest time suck of an acquisition manager is underwriting and comping all day. Or if you have a full-time, so some people have full-time underwriters, right? But this takes that headache completely away, because currently we're looking on Redfin, Zillow, Realtor.com,
Redfin, Zillow, Realtor, Property Radar.
Yeah, it's like 5 or 6.
Lift.
Just trying to find, like, here, let me prove what this comp is. We're trying to get, because they all have different data, right? So we are literally going to be the one place you can go to actually get all of the data, at the click of a button. So it's literally going to be, it's called Insta Comps, because that's really what it's going to be. Instant comps right there at your fingertip. So it alleviates all that time, of underwriting, because if you're good at underwriting and comping, you might be able to do it in, 5 to 10 minutes, but the average person's probably 15.
No. I'm 15 minutes, bro.
Newbies are 20 or 30. You know what I'm saying? So,
and it depends on the market you're in too. If it's a new market, bro, you're going to be, just because I don't want to spin my wheels on the back end, I want to be dead set. Mm-hmm. If you're in like a major metro, it's a lot easier. But if you're in like a random market and there's like 4 comps and you're just.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what's cool too. So it's going to have a map too, so you can kind of zoom in on that. Like, is that even, because what if it crosses a highway and it's still
exactly
0.2 miles away? Well, it's not going to count that, because that's not really a comp, right? So you'll have it automatically actually filters that, but you have the ability to zoom into the map as well. Like, okay, well, I know this area and I know this would be a comp, so I can keep this one, or I'm going to take this one out or whatever. So, but it's pretty cool, man. I've been using it internally. Just myself, my team hasn't even used it yet, because we're just working all the bugs out. But man, it's getting really good. It's gonna be scary when it's like firing on all cylinders. So hopefully within the next couple months, it'll be ready to push out to the public. But
what are you doing for price per square foot on rehab?
So I've got 5 condition levels, and it's a nationwide price per square foot, so not specific areas. So it's an average
Like,
of the nation.
what's your average in your company that you like usually go by?
It depends on the conversation. So we do condition level based on the major components of every house, right? So what we consider major components is the HVAC, the roof, the foundation, the electrical, and the plumbing, because those are the big ticket items, and those are the major things that, you know, have to be updated occasionally or whatever. So if it has just one of those, then we call that a mid-level remodel. So we have 5 levels. There's lipstick, low. Lipstick is literally carpet and paint. Like, it's good to go pretty much, right? And our low rehab is it needs updating, right? New appliances and all those kind of things. Update the kitchen, bathroom, and the lipstick, obviously. And then mid means it needs one of those major items, plus it needs the updating in the lipstick, right? And then we have major, which is like 2 to 3 major items. Maybe it needs a roof and the HVAC, you know, and you still got all the updating and there's issues or whatever, right? And then we have full get, you know, which is usually 4 plus, you know, major items plus everything else. So,
but like, what does that come out to cost wise as you're telling your reps like
that? So they don't even know, because it's just built into my system. All they do is click the button and it's going to calculate, you know, based on the one they chose. And then Instacomps, it does it all for you. Yeah. You click which one of those it is. That's why I said we'll have it to where, you know, the user on the back end can probably choose. Like, if they have a specific market, then they can just choose what their local rehabs are. But these are built out for like national kind of averages. And that's worked really well. I mean, that's what we use. And we've been nationwide since September of 2020. And that's worked really well. Obviously, we change it, you know, when times change. Obviously, when they skyrocketed, you know, we changed that. So we're always updating that based on the market and everything too. But yeah, it works really well. It's what we use all day, every day.
Here's a lead. What does this lead say? I burn through so many text messages a day just because of all the automations.
Yeah.
Like we probably have, you probably do more, but we go through 1,000 to 3,000 text messages a week.
Yeah, I've never even looked at it. All I see is it's a lot, because smartphone like recharges my card like every day.
Yeah.
Because I don't know why I need to set up the threshold higher, I guess, because it's like set for $100 a day or something. I don't know.
You spend $100 a day on just automated text.
Yeah. And I don't even know what that equates to, but all I know is I see this freaking charge every day. I need to like up the threshold. Well, it's not just automated. It's my team texting too. That's the thing too. Like, I had a couple of reps, you know, texting like long messages. I'm like, let's try to stick at the 160 characters, you know, so it's one text at least. Yeah. I'm getting charged 2 texts every time you send this, because they're copy and pasting a lot of these and just change a little bit, you know. I'm like, let's get this down to 160 characters, so I'm not getting double charged every time you send this out. They're like, oh, okay, I didn't realize that. I'm like, well, that's why it's in the SOPs. I guess you need a refresher. Just kidding. But
all right, bro, let's get on a live next week and have you make some calls and I'll make some calls.
Let's do it. We got to figure out the audio part. But yeah, I'm all about that.
We'll figure out the audio part, and I'll have you call back that guy.
Awesome. I'd love to.
And we'll bring that bitch back to life. He's an old black guy. He was not having it, bro. He was pissed.
Heck yeah. He's going to love it.
All right, Brody. Thank you so much for coming on. I'll talk to you next week, dude.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thanks a lot.
See you.